start recording now. Okay, so welcome everybody. This is so exciting to see so many of you here again this week. It sounds like it's about half and half. Half of you were here last week and half of you were not. So I'm really excited to have you guys here. And you also should have received last week, Emily and I made a great video for beginners that showed how to do the yoga poses and how to do them correctly and safely too, with your anatomy and your alignment and everything. So if you guys haven't had a chance to watch that, check that video out. Excuse me. I'll put that in along with this video in the next email I send out later today, so that you have reference. You can reference back to that as well. Carl said it was excellent. Thank you both. So I just want you guys to have that video too, even if you've been doing yoga, but you're not sure if you're doing it right. I know that was me. So that's a great video to help you just know, like, am I doing it right? Like, where are my feet supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And there's also a lot of poses that I think people are doing incorrectly, but you think you're doing it right. Especially in a forward fold, a lot of times people will arch their back as they forward fold. And we don't want that. We want to keep a nice flat back. And that might mean that you don't forward fold as far as you would like, but you're going to save your lower back. You're not going to injure your lower back by keeping it straight. So check that video out if you haven't watched it yet. And I'm just going to recap a little bit from last week, because I know about half of you weren't on the call last week. But I just want to take a moment to talk about what is accessible yoga. What does that mean? It's kind of a buzzword right now in the yoga world. And a lot of studios are saying that they're accessible, everyone is welcome, but yet they don't know how to actually teach an accessible class. If somebody comes in that can't do standing poses, they don't know how to modify it for them. So they tell them, oh, just sit down during this, instead of giving them modifications of how to do that pose, which occasionally there are poses where it is tricky to modify them, and you might just have to like sit in child's pose or mountain pose for that one pose. But for the most part, you should be able to blend it together. And what I want you guys to take away from this is, I'm going to show you how to do today's practice in the chair. You're going to watch Emily if you're going to do it on the mat. And today we're going to stay on the floor. There's not going to be any standing poses, not going to be any inversions. So I want you to realize you can do an entire yoga practice sitting in a chair. So Julie, someone like you with balance problems, you can stay in the chair. And then as you start getting a little bit stronger, you can get out of the chair. You can use the chair to hold onto or a wall to hold onto. You can do a hybrid, if you want to be on the mat and the floor for floor poses, and then hop in the chair for standing poses. That's totally fine. This is your practice. This is about you and your wellness and what makes you feel good and also makes you feel safe. We want you to feel safe as you're doing yoga, because it's easy to hurt yourself in yoga if you're not careful. And we don't want anyone pushing themselves. We want you to stay safe. And so today's yoga practice is going to be a floor routine. So again, you'll watch Emily for the floor, and you'll watch me if you're going to stay in a chair, or if you want to hop back and forth, you can watch both of us. We're both going to be on the screen. And you can get an amazing workout sitting in a chair, even without standing. So don't be fooled by the chair. I feel like cat-cow in the chair. I feel like my core gets more of a workout than doing cat-cow on the floor. So, just some food for thought there. All right, so some props to grab if you have them. Have your yoga mat. If you guys have yoga blocks, you might want to block. Not totally necessary. I'm just looking at today's, not totally necessary today. We're not doing a whole lot that you need a block, but it's always nice to have a block. If you have a strap, that will be useful today. Oh, if you're staying in the chair, you might want a block. So if you don't have a block, um, if you have, like I said before, like a roll of paper towels, or a Kleenex box that's full, you don't want an empty one because that'll just collapse. But, or like a nice thick book, or a nice Amazon box, a sturdy Amazon box, something that you can use as a prop to put some weight on. And you will want the strap. So if you don't have a strap, like a necktie, a belt, um, even like a long sleeve shirt could actually work. So there's a lot of ways to improvise a strap. But I do encourage you to have a strap today. So we're going to do some breath work in today's practice. I want to kind of teach you a little bit more about breath work. And also, one more prop, if you have a pillow or a folded up blanket to sit on, that can get your hips up a little higher, especially if you have tight hips and hamstrings. It's nice to sit up on a pillow or a folded up blanket if you're staying on the floor. So I'm going to have us all get started by sitting, if you're going to be on the floor, sitting in a cross-legged position, or if you're going to stay in the chair, you're going to sit in your chair, and I'm going to get my chair in position. I suppose I should take my slippers off. Okay. And then I've got my yoga block. So this is basically what a yoga block looks like. If any of you have a TJ Maxx or Home Goods near you, they had blocks for literally a 2-pack for $10, and they had yoga mats for $10 when I was just in there. So that's a really great price. So just FYI, if you're thinking of getting some. All right, so sitting in a comfortable cross-legged position, or if cross-legged is not comfortable, you can let your legs out in front of you, or you can kind of have one knee down, one knee up, just whatever's comfortable for you and your body. And if you're sitting on a chair, you can sit to the front of the chair. And we're just gonna take some breaths here. And the traditional yoga breath is the Ujjayi breath, and it's in and out through the nose. And on the exhale, I want you to think about when you fog up a mirror. And if you're holding up a mirror and you go on the mirror to get it fogged up, that's sort of the motion and the sound that we're making in the back of our throat. It's like a so everybody do that with me. Pretend you're fogging up a mirror. So we inhale and exhale through the nose, but on that exhale, we're doing that, but it's inside. So let's try that. So inhaling and exhaling through our nose. So it's also called ocean breath because it kind of sounds like the ocean inside your head. And some people call it the Darth Vader breath. So that's the most traditional yogic breath during a yoga practice. And especially as you start getting into standing positions and your breathing starts getting a little bit heavier, you'll notice you almost start doing that naturally without even knowing that that's the yoga breath. And also, it helps us keep our heat inside our body. So, right now, we're warming up in our yoga practice. And so, we want to keep the heat inside our body. And that's why we traditionally inhale and exhale through the nose. If that's not comfortable for you, or you have sinus problems or whatever, feel free to use your mouth. But I just want to teach you guys the traditional breath work, and we'll be doing that today. We'll be practicing on that. So again, let's just inhale and exhale. Let's just take a few moments to just sit here and ground ourselves, inhaling and exhaling through our nose with that ocean breath. For some of you, you might notice Your exhale is longer than your inhale, and that's pretty common, or it might be equal. But we definitely want to make sure that our exhale is either equal or longer than our inhale. That helps us get into the parasympathetic, the rest and digest state. Now let's add our arms in for a few breaths. So inhale, we're going to bring our arms up, palms facing up, all the way up. Exhale, release, palms down. Bring our arms down to our sides. Inhale all the way up. Exhale down. Inhale, come all the way up, palms up. Exhale all the way down. And one more inhale all the way up. Bring your palms together. And on the exhale, bring your palms to heart center. And just take a breath here. Starting to get some mindful movement into our body. And now go ahead, release your hands to your lap. And if you are seated on the floor, we're going to go into bound angle pose. You're going to bring the soles of your feet together and your knees out to the side. If you're seated in the chair, you can do something similar. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your hips drop to the side. Just opening up our hips a little. And breathe. Remembering to sit up on your sit bones, tuck your shoulder blades back and down, nice and tall through the spine, up through the crown of your head. Now, if you're seated on the floor, go ahead and cross your legs again. Now, this time, change the cross of your leg. Now, let's do some neck tilts. We're going to let our head drop to the right, stretching out our neck. Just go as far as feels comfortable for you. And if it causes any discomfort or dizziness, go ahead and bring your head back up. We don't want anyone to feel any discomfort. Just a nice stretch. And to deepen that stretch, we can draw our chin towards our chest. And then go ahead and bring your head back to neutral. And we'll go to the left side. Remembering to breathe. And then again, if you would like, you can drop your chin towards your chest to deepen the stretch. And come back to neutral. Now let's do some shoulder rolls. Bring those shoulders way up to your ears and pull them way back and down and up to the front. Up, back, and around. Really feel those shoulder blades moving. One more. And then the other way. So up, forward, back, and around. And your hands can just slide on your lap. And come back to center. And then let's bring our right arm up and across, stretching out our shoulders. And release. And then the left arm up. And release. Now let's stretch out our wrists, especially because we're going to be spending a lot of time in tabletop today. Let's start with some wrist rolls. And go the other way. And then we're going to stretch our right wrist. So we're going to bring our hand up. We're going to take our left hand and pull our right fingertips and our wrist back. And some of you may have more movement than others, but you should feel the stretch down through the wrist and through this part of the forearm. And some of you, it might be really tight. Like I said, we sit at our computers and we hold our phones way too much. Our bodies weren't designed to do that. And then now we're going to stretch each finger. So again, the right hand, we're going to take our left pinky and pull it back. And then our ring finger and our middle finger. And the pointer finger. And then the thumb. All right, and then just kind of shake it out. And we'll do the left. So bringing our right hand, pulling back the left fingers and the left wrist. Remember to keep breathing. And you might notice that one is tighter than the other. My right is my dominant hand, so it's definitely feeling more tight than my left, but they're both pretty tight. And release, and then let's do each finger again. Start with the pinky, pulling it back and down, pulling the whole wrist with it. And the ring finger. And just observe, where does it feel tight or where does it feel sore? And the middle finger. And the pointer. And the thumb. Shake them out a little. Stretch them, whatever feels good. And bring your hands to your lap. All right, now if you're seated on the floor, I'm going to have you change the cross of your legs again. We often continue to sit like it's natural for all of us when we sit cross-legged. We have one leg that we prefer to put over the other one, and it's important that we switch those occasionally. So now we're going to do some seated twists. So you're going to bring your left hand to your right knee, and we're going to get up nice and tall on those sit bones. And then take our right hand and we're going to exhale as we twist to the right. If you're seated, your hand's just going to come behind you to the floor. If you're in a chair, your hand can come to the chair back. And if it's comfortable, you can turn your head to the right, looking over your shoulder. And breathe. And exhale back to center. Now we'll go left, so right hand to the left knee, sitting up nice and tall. Take a nice big inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to twist to the left. And exhale, come back to center. Now let's just do some hip circles. Circling our hips around, warming up the hips and the low back. And don't forget to go the other way. And come back to center. And let's do some lateral bends. So we're going to bring our left hand up. And then on our inhale, we're going to push our hand up and bend to the right. Exhaling back to center. Inhale to the right, filling up the left side of our lungs. Exhaling back to center. One more this side. Inhaling. And exhale back to center. Okay, now switch hands, bringing the right hand up. Inhale, bend to the left. Exhaling back to center. Inhale, bend to the left. Filling up the right side of the rib cage. Exhaling back to center. And one more inhale. And exhale. So just take a moment to pause here. How's everyone feeling? You're starting to feel a little more grounded, feeling some of the stress of the day melting away. Now we're going to inhale, we're going to sweep our arms overhead, hold them there for a moment. On the exhale, we're just going to turn to the right and just bring our arms out to the sides. Inhale, bring them back up, come to center. Exhale, bring them out to the sides, turn to the left, and I'll try not to take out Hello Kitty back here. Inhale, back up to the center. Now let's do that a few times in a flow. So exhale as we twist to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. One more each time. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. And release your hands to your knees. Okay, now if you're seated, go ahead and change across your legs one more time. And we're gonna do some eagle arms. We're gonna stretch out that upper back. So eagle arms is, we're gonna crisscross our arms. I cannot get my hands together, but I think Emily can. So this is one variation. This is the traditional variation. And then you can bring them up, bring the elbows up, and you'll feel a deeper stretch in the upper back. And as we're doing this, we want to make sure those shoulder blades are pulled back and down at the same time as lifting up. That's going to give us a nice stretch. If that's not accessible to you to crisscross your arms, you can bring your arms together like this and bring them up. And if that's not accessible to you, you can bear hug, or you can stack your arms. So there's several variations to it, depending on what is comfortable for you. So now, eagle arms again. Now cross your arms the opposite way. Wait, oh. And bringing them up, bring those elbows up. And again, you can just bring your arms together, or you can bear hug. And back down. Now, most of you should start feeling some heat in your body. You should feel some of that heat starting to come into our bodies. Okay, now if you are on a mat, you are going to transition to all fours in tabletop position. And then if you're staying in the chair, just stay here with me. So tabletop position, making sure your knees are under your hips and your hands are under your shoulders, and making sure the weight of your hands is going into the upper part, under your fingertips, into that part of your hand, not the heel of your hand. That's when you start getting wrist pain. So making sure you're putting that weight into the ball of your hand and the fingers. The fingers should be nice and spread out. Your pointer and middle fingers should be facing directly in front of you with your fingers spread out. And that spreading those fingers lets you distribute that weight a little bit better. And if you need to, you can put a blanket under your knees if your knees are a bit tender. And from here, we're going to start warming up our spine. We're going to do some cat-cows. So if you're in the chair with me, your hands come on your knees. You're going to sit up nice and tall. And on the inhale, it's a little bit of a back bend into cow. And exhale, cat back. So we're going to really round that back. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And if you have any neck or dizzy issues, inhale, cow. You can keep your head very neutral, or if it's comfortable, you can move your head with the movement like Emily is doing. So one more inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Okay, come back to neutral and tabletop. And now you on the floor, we're going to exhale, push back towards our heels into child's pose. Inhale, push forward slightly past your hands. Exhale back to child's pose. And if you're in the chair, you can continue doing cat-cow. Forward, inhaling. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, push forward. Exhaling, child's. And then come back to neutral. Okay, now let it stretch our right arm forward. And back down. Inhale, bring our left arm forward. And back down. Inhale, right arm. Exhale. Inhale, left arm. And exhale. Now we're going to do the legs. So inhale, bring your right leg back, but you can either keep it on the floor. So Emily, bring your foot to the floor. You can either keep it here or you can bring it up, whatever is most accessible for you. And if you're in the chair, you can just simply bring your leg forward and exhale down. Inhale, left leg. Exhale down. Inhale, right leg. Exhale down. Inhale, left. And down. And now we're going to do songbird. So as we inhale, we're going to bring the right arm and the left leg. And again, that left leg can either stay with the foot on the floor or you can lift it. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale down. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Engage that core. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale down. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Exhale down. And last one, inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale down. And just, you can do some little hip twists or you can do a little cat, whatever, stretch out that low back, the shoulders. And now we're going to do if you're on the floor, we're going to do a half moon. And if we're in the chair, we can do something similar. I encourage you in the chair to have a block and bring it to your right side. If you're on the floor, so I'm going to walk the floor through first. So we're going to start by turning your right foot out to the right. It's going to be like a kickstand. And now you're going to take your left arm. So we're going to come into a half moon, which is a balance pose. So you're going to bring your left arm up and your left leg out to the side with your foot on the floor. Now, if you're in the chair, continue to hold there if you can. So if you're in the chair, we're just going to do a real modified version of this. So we're going to bring our right hand down to the block, our left hand up, and our left leg up, and slightly let the hips turn if you can. And Emily, I don't know if you can you bring your leg up in the air? So you can take it another step further on the floor if that works for you. And exhale, bring it all back down to tabletop or up to seated on the chair. Now in the chair, go ahead, take the block to the other side. Now you're going to turn your left foot out to kickstand. And then taking your right arm in the air, your right leg comes out to the side, anchoring your foot in the floor. And on the chair, you can do the similar. And this is a great balance pose, even on the floor, even on the chair. I'm shaking. My core is working. And exhale, you can come back to tabletop. All right, how did that feel? Everybody's feeling a little warm now, I hope. Okay, now I want you to come up to your knees, let your feet go flat on the floor. And we're just going to do a back bend. If you've done camel before, I encourage you to try camel. If you haven't done camel before, I don't really want you to try and go into the full pose because it's a really big pose. I just don't want anyone to overdo it and hurt their back. So camel pose is just a really big back bend. And in the chair, we're also just going to do a back bend. And I'm going to actually turn my chair to the side so you guys can see me from the side. So all of us are going to start by our hands down to our side. We're going to externally rotate our shoulders and our palms come forward. We're going to look straight ahead, keeping our neck neutral. Pull the shoulder blades back and down, and then begin to bend from the upper back. The upper back bends, not the low back. And I can back bend pretty far. And if you guys are watching Emily, camel pose, you would bring your hands to your heels. But again, this is a really big pose. And if you're not able to do it, if your back bend is only this big, it's only this big. And that is your back bend. You're still getting a benefit. And you can come up if you need to, Emily. So camel is a nice, wonderful back bend. It's a great heart opener. But again, it's a big back bend, and I don't want anyone to go too far if they can't. And you should be bending from that upper back, like your bra strap and up is sort of where you should be bending from, not from the low back. And that's where I don't want anyone to bend from the low back and hurt themselves. You get a little movement in the low back, but that's not where the bend comes from. So let's do that again. Externally rotate the shoulders. Palms face forward, head neutral, and then slowly begin to back bend. And breathe. And then go ahead and come up. And now if you are on the floor, I want you all to come into child's pose. So push back your butt to your heels, bring your knees out, and fold forward, your head resting on the floor. If you're seated in the chair, you can use a block, or you can bring your hands to the floor. And breathe. And go ahead and come back up to tabletop. Now we're going to counteract that with a few more cat-cows. By now, you guys should all be pros at cat-cow. So inhale, expanding into cow. Exhaling, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhaling, cat. Inhale again into cow. Exhaling into cat. And then coming back to neutral. Now, if you're on the floor, you're going to step your right foot forward between your feet or between your hands. Sorry, anatomy. And we're just going to do a low lunge. So if you are in the chair, you're going to turn to the right, bring your right knee forward. I got stuff in my way. I need a bigger room. And bringing that left leg back. If you're on the floor and you would like to go up to a high lunge, you can go ahead and bring your hands on your hips or your thigh and bring that back leg up. And then we're going to bring the arms overhead into warrior one. If that's not comfortable, you can keep your hands on your hips. You can also stay in a low lunge, or you can go back to tabletop, whatever feels good to you. And then exhale, release. Step your leg back into tabletop. And then step your left foot forward. And on the chair, we're going to turn to our left and bring our right leg back. And if it's comfortable, you can come up to a high lunge. Hands on the hips. And then bring your arms overhead into warrior one. And your hips should be facing the front of the room or straight in front of you. Exhale, release down to low lunge. And then step back into tabletop. Now, if you are on the floor, I'm going to have you push up into plank. There you go. And if you make note of Emily, she's at a nice diagonal. One of the mistakes we often make in plank pose is we lift our butt too high. And that is not where we want to be. We need that butt down a little bit lower. If this doesn't work for you, go ahead and bring your knees to the floor. And you can still do plank with your knees on the floor if you just want to show them that, Emily. Yeah. So you can do plank here with your knees on the floor, or go ahead and bring them back up. And hold here. And this is one of those poses that we can't do in the chair, and that's okay. We can just sit here for a moment. We get to rest for a moment. And go ahead, lower back down, tabletop. And now we're gonna do pigeon. So you're gonna take your right knee, you're gonna take your right leg and bring it in front of you at a 90-degree angle. And if you're on the chair, you can simply bring your left ankle. I have very tight hips. So your left ankle is just going to come up on your knee. It's the same thing, just a different pose. And as Emily, she's bending over. She's getting a little bit deeper stretch, but you can definitely stay up, or like I'm doing, we're just going to cross our leg. And I'm getting a really good hip stretch here, sitting in the chair. And just remember to breathe. And if this is too much for you, go ahead and come out of that pose back to tabletop. It's absolutely okay. But this is a really good stretch for the hip. Some people, it might bother your knee. And you can go ahead and just come back to table. All right, we're going to come out of that. Back to table. And then we're going to take our left leg forward and bringing it across at a 90-degree. And if you're seated, oh, my left side is less tight than my right, that's for sure. Just observe. We all have one side of the body that's tighter than the other. And, you know, it's just natural. but our body tells us pretty much everything we need to know if we're willing to listen to it. And that is the magic of yoga. Doing a daily yoga practice, or even just a couple times a week, you'll start getting much more in tune with your body and what it is trying to tell you. Okay, everybody, you can come back to table or release your leg. Okay, now go ahead on the floor. You're going to come to seated. And we're going to start with a wide-legged forward fold. And this is where a strap will come in handy. Give me 1 second. I need to grab mine. I thought I had it out. Oh, I'll also show you guys these cool things. I also got these at TJ Maxx. These are for your knees. Can you see the groove in them? The light's kind of there. There's a big groove in the middle for your knee. These work really slick for any time that you have one or both knees down. So I got these at TJ Maxx. They could also work for your hand if you're having wrist problems. Okay, so we're gonna do a wide-legged forward fold. Actually, let's do a regular forward fold first. That might be easier to show, to demonstrate. So sitting up on your sit bones, this is called staff pose. If you're seated on the floor, bring your hands slightly to your sides and behind you, fingertips forward. Emily, they come more to your side. You can, there you go. And that just helps you get up nice and tall through your sit bones, sit up tall through your spine, pressing your legs into the floor and flexing your toes to your nose. And this looks like a simple pose, but just sitting here and in the chair, we can do the same thing. I have my feet out in front of me, my hands to my side, so I'm nice and tall, and I'm flexing my toes to my nose. And this is giving the hamstrings a nice stretch. And then we can release from here. I need to fix my strap here. Give me a second. So I want to show you guys the best way to use the strap. So you're going to bring the strap around your feet. The strap can come to that ball of your foot, like right below your toes. And then you're going to take the strap in your hand and wrap it. That gives you the best grip on the strap. And then again, getting them nice and tall in staff pose. And then you can start to forward fold. And as you forward fold, you can continue to wrap the strap around your hand. Now, keep your back straight. Some of you might be able to completely bend over if you round your back. And I'm going to let Emily kind of demonstrate that. She's able to like touch. Emily, just show them like if you were to round your back and yep. So she can completely go all the way down, but that is not the proper way to do a forward fold. So she's going to use the strap and keeping the back straight and slowly working your way forward to the comfort zone or just outside the comfort zone without rounding your back. And again, if you're in the chair, I wish you could see my feet, but I'm doing this in the chair. Or you could come to the floor too if you wanted to. But you're keeping the shoulder blades pulled back and down. You're keeping that back. You're keeping the spine nice and straight. You're not allowing your back to round. And coming to the point before your back begins to round. And just feel that stretch through your hamstrings. Remember to pull those toes to your nose. And go ahead, release. Bring your body all the way back up. And you can just kind of shake it out a little. Emily, why don't you stay to the side? And now we're going to do head to knee pose. So you're gonna bring your legs a little wider. In the chair, we're gonna do this just a little bit differently than Emily's gonna do. So she's got her feet a little bit wider. Now you're gonna bring your right knee up. Bring your left knee up. And then bring the sole of your foot to your thigh and let your hip or your knee fall out to the side. And you're gonna want your strap. Yep. So go ahead and get the strap around the ball of your foot before we go any further, and get that strap in your hand. So if you're on the chair, you can just bring your right leg out to the side. And then you're gonna turn so your chest is in alignment with that right leg and forward fold. So this is a wide-legged forward fold. It's called head to knee pose. And it's a slightly different stretch. You probably feel more of a stretch in through your inner thigh as well as your hamstrings. And then come back up and bring your left leg out. And then bring your right knee up, sole of the foot to your thigh, and bring the strap to your left foot. And I have to kind of pivot here because I have too much stuff in my way. And go ahead and get your strap ready. Angle your chest directly over. Imagine a headlight in the middle of your heart, and it's pointed right to your toes. And then exhale as you forward fold. Again, keeping that back straight. Breathe. And go ahead, come up and release. All right, you can set your strap off to the side. And now we're going to prepare for final relaxation pose, or Shavasana. So if you are on the floor, you will lie back on your mat. If you're on a chair, I encourage you to come to the floor. It's a little more comfortable. But if you prefer to stay in the chair, just go ahead and sit back in the chair. On the mat, bring your feet about mat width apart. Bring your arms on the floor, bring your arms to the side, palms up. Tuck your shoulder blades under. If you're in the chair, whatever's comfortable for your hands, you can just rest up by your hips. And allow your eyes to close if that's comfortable for you. If you're in the chair, you can bring your gaze to the floor in front of you. And just bring your awareness to your breath. Feeling your breath flowing through your body. So inhale and exhale. Feeling your chest rise and fall. Allowing your body to completely relax, releasing any tension from the day. Allow your feet and your toes to relax, and your legs and your knees. Feel your hips relax, and your low back. Relaxing your chest and your shoulders, your arms, your hands and your fingers. Relaxing your neck and your throat. Releasing any tension from your jaw or your tongue. Releasing tension from your forehead and your eyes. And just allow your body to melt into the floor or the chair. connecting with your breath. And if any unwanted thoughts should come into your mind, just simply release them without any judgment and come back to your breath. And I'm going to be quiet now for a few moments as you rest in Shavasana. Slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. Feel the chest rise and fall. Feeling the breath flowing through your body all the way to your fingers and your toes. Slowly begin to bring your awareness back to your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Gently open your eyes. Bring your awareness to your surroundings. And slowly, as you're ready, if you're on the floor, roll to your side, resting your head on your arm. Stretching your top leg out and using both hands to push you all the way up to seated, your head coming up last. If you're in the chair, gently come back to the front of your chair. And on the floor, come to a seated cross-legged position. And let's take one more breath together. Inhale, bring those arms up overhead. Bring your palms together and exhale, palms to heart center. Namaste. How's everyone feeling? Let me bring my chair back to the computer. I'm curious if you'll let me know in the chat Let me know if you did chair, floor, or both. I'm curious. Floor, 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 chair, floor, 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 chair, floor, both, floor, chair. Oh, good, Julie. I'm so happy. Floor, floor. Good, good, good. This is great, you guys. I'm glad that I'm getting some thank yous. This is wonderful. Sandra said, this is my first time at home. Thanks for the prop suggestions. Awesome. Yes. So Caitlin asked, I have dysautonomia / POTS, and my heart rate went crazy when I tried to do camel. A back bend is similar to a forward bend in that it's a slight inversion. So yeah, I would say don't try to go too far. Like, so camel's a big pose. Camel is a really big pose. So you can simply do just a small back bend without doing the full pose. Yeah, I know that those back bends and forward bends, any type of inversion can cause that heart rate to kick up, and we don't want that. So definitely listen to your body. If you feel that dysautonomia kicked in, come back up and just take a few breaths. Someone said, thank you so much. My bad balance yoga is usually tough, but not with the chair. I love chair yoga. Your explanation of camel is so helpful. Great, great. I'm glad you guys are loving this. Okay, I'm going to put another poll up. Maybe. There it is. Okay, so I'm putting another poll up for you guys. I want to know more of what you guys want to learn more about. So what are you interested in learning more about yoga? So you can choose multiple answers for this one, I believe. So yoga philosophy. Do you want to learn more about breath work, meditation, yoga flow, modifications, how to relieve back pain, neck pain, anxiety, depression, tight hips, tight hamstrings? So there's a lot of options here, but you can go ahead and pick more than one. I want to know what you guys want to learn more about in these sessions, because it's about you guys. No one wants to learn yoga philosophy. Come on, you're gonna learn it anyway. Yoga flow. Awesome. Yeah, you guys have a lot of good answers here. Oh, thank you, whoever put yoga philosophy. So lots of you want yoga flow, which is awesome, which, you know, that's what we did today. We did do a lot of flow. It was just a lot slower, gentler flow. But we can definitely move into some bigger flows and some bigger poses. And I'm always going to keep you guys, I'm always going to show you with a chair too. Just because I prefer being in the chair. I'm not as good at those big poses anymore. I can do them, but my heart rate gets going if I do too much. So for me, staying in a chair is is where I need to be, and that's okay. And that's what I want to reiterate to you guys, right? Like, it's okay. It's your practice, whatever feels good to you. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who asked the question about camel. You know, listening to your body's telling you, ooh, ooh, this is a lot for me. So bringing yourself back up into camel or out of camel and just doing a small back bend. And you can always, always, always come into child's pose at any time in your practice, or just stand or sit in mountain pose. So it's always okay. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of this so I have all the answers. It's kind of weird. It doesn't. Emily, do you know more about Zoom? Does it give me the answers on the back end?
I think so. I think if you
Oh,
look into your account, I'm
if
pretty
I
sure.
go back in, I might be able to find them. I've just never
I think
explored that.
I've
Okay,
never actually done a poll in Zoom, if I'm being honest with you. So
so it's telling me the number one answer was yoga flow. But yeah, so the cool thing, I took a whole course on yoga therapy as well, and how yoga can be like I've said this many times, like you have done yoga in PT sessions, right? But we just don't call it that when we're in PT. So there are so many things we can do to help our soreness, our aches, our pains. There's things we can do to even help different injuries, like if you have a shoulder injury or a leg injury or ankle. Um, Carl has severe spinal stenosis. This is helping. Great. I love hearing that. Um, Thank you for sharing this and making that it's okay and normalizing the variety of experiences we have. Absolutely. My trauma training in action, right? Um, I couldn't select type hits. Oh, that's okay. All the things. Does yoga help with weight loss? Great question, George. I actually just took a neuroscience yoga course. I've been going a little crazy this year with my yoga training. COVID, so why not? What was the question? Oh, weight loss. So they had actually done extensive research, and like people think that cardio is where it's at for losing weight. And actually it's only about 30 to 40% of people will lose weight doing cardio. Doing yoga, it jumps to like 60 to 70% because the focus isn't on cardio, it's just on stretching and moving your body with breath. So yes, and it also helps you, it helps with anxiety and depression. Like yoga is just, I just want to like scream it from the rooftops how good for you yoga is. And some people have had bad experiences with yoga. They've like, I know that was Emily's experience. She went to a core power yoga. She'd never done yoga. And it's just about moving from pose to pose as fast as you can to get the heart rate up. And they might do high interval intensity training. And that's great. It serves a purpose, right? But that's not what yoga is. That's yoga as exercise. And so what I focus on is more of just yoga, like the authentic traditional yoga, which I guess isn't necessarily the traditional yoga, because traditional yoga is like 6,000 years old and didn't have asanas in it. But I was trying to look. I understand, but you didn't tell me if it helps with weight loss. Yeah, yep, I did. It jumps. Doing yoga is proven to be more like 60% effective in weight loss than doing cardio. So yeah, it's very effective. And especially if you combine it with walking. Walking is one of the best exercises for weight loss, and just getting your body moving. Absolutely. Oh, it looks like there was a Q&A question. Oh, Mel said I can only see. Oh, she said she could see us both. Oh, sorry. That was a while ago. Any other questions? They say yoga cures autism too. I wouldn't say anything cures, but it definitely can help relieve symptoms. And I know a lot of people with TBI worry that they can't do yoga because they're going to get dizzy or they're going to fall over. They have balance problems. They have vertigo. And that's where I really want to try and emphasize this accessible yoga practice and making it your own and doing what works for you. I lost my train of thought. What did I start with? Oh, and so yes, so helping our symptoms, right? And so if you have balance problems, you can do it in a chair. You can do it standing, holding on to a chair. You can do it next to a wall, holding onto a wall for support. Starting in the chair is a great place if you have balance problems, and then you can work your way up and gradually turn it into a hybrid, where you do some standing and some seated on the chair. So it's all about whatever feels good to you. And when I first started doing yoga again after my injury, I had dislocated my sternum. I tore all sorts of muscles in my neck, shoulders, clavicles. I was literally twisted like this and hunched over. Like literally my rib cage got twisted and I couldn't come out of this position. And cat cow, that's why I probably do so many cat cows. Cat cow was what started giving me movement again. And I couldn't move my head in that cat cow. I kept my head very neutral. I didn't move it like I'm doing right now. So you can either move your head with the motion or you can keep your head neutral. And I had to keep my head neutral because if I moved my head, I got dizzy. So it's just listening to your body and doing what feels good for you in that moment. And every day is different. You know, one day you might feel great and be able to do poses. Even Emily, and she doesn't have a brain injury that we know of. There's days where she falls over doing everything, or she's tight and she can't get into some of the poses. And that's just everybody. Does yoga help improve symptoms of TBI like dizziness? Do certain poses that make you dizzy get better with practice? Or is it just a limitation of our bodies? That's a great question. And that's where I was going. And then I went off track. So I was doing that cat cow. So I could do 5 poses. I did cat cow. I did seated twists without moving my head. I did eagle arms. Eagle arms are really good for your upper back and neck. Gosh, I can't remember the other 2 poses I did. There was 5 poses that I did. I did them every day for about 5 to 10 minutes. And as I did them, my dizziness got a little bit less and I got stronger and I was able to start moving my head with those poses. Oh, and tree pose. I did tree holding on to a chair because I didn't have very good balance. And then I could do tree pose and I could do the full pose with my arms up. So yes, the more you do this, the stronger you're going to get and the more you'll be able to do as you go on. And somebody asked if I'm going to be doing this regularly. Yes, for now. I do have my Patreon website up, my membership. And for $10 a month, you guys, it's like nothing. I will be doing these weekly. And I might go to twice a week. I might do an afternoon and an evening if we have enough people. So Emily just put the link in there. So if you guys go over to my Patreon site and sign up at that $10, you'll get these weekly. For now, I'm doing them kind of for free to get everybody interested and see what it's like and know that they can do them. But join me on the Patreon, $10 a month. That's like, 2 Starbucks, or I don't know what else we spend our money on. But I will do these weekly. So yes, please join me. And for the most part, Emily will be here with us and I'll be here. So you'll get both versions, chair and on the floor. And definitely I want to keep making these accessible and sharing with you how to safely and properly do the poses. And I'm going to sneak some yoga philosophy in there for you guys. Because yoga philosophy is fun. I kind of geek out on it and where it comes from and how it stemmed and how it's evolved. Like the asana practice. So asana means pose. So the asana practice has only been around for like 100 years, right? And vinyasa, which means flow, that's been around maybe even a little bit less. And so it's constantly evolving. Like all the poses have Sanskrit names, but now they have modern names, right? Like tree pose and seated cross-legged pose, right? Like that's all the Western spin on it. But that's everything, it evolves. All right. Well, any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. But thank you all for being here. This was wonderful. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did today. And I'm going to stop